This podcast contains descriptions of extreme violence, body horror, and adult language. Please check the description for details. Viewer discretion is advised. Yeah, you make your way back to your apartment in the very comparatively small neutral part of the city. It's fairly central. You kind of made a point of trying to get something which was as close to being far away from every border as possible. Unfortunately, you couldn't really get in exactly the center. I mean, that's where all the shops are and everything in the first place. So that was kind of that would have been a steep ask, even for someone who is as well off as a dredge. Being a dredge, you are one of the very few people in this city. In fact, there are under a dozen people in this city with that title, which essentially means that you are officially recognized as like somebody who is not only unaffiliated with every gang, but better off unaffiliated by virtue of what you can do as a neutral entity for every gang. You had to fucking work your ass off to become a dredge, and a lot of those memories are still fresh in your mind, considering how recently you've actually, been one. And it is only by virtue of you having taken a number of decently paid jobs that you managed to get yourself an apartment in a fairly good part of the neutral zone. You're a little closer to Section C's borders than you would like, but hey, can't have the world. Yeah, this is definitely a instance of like an apartment block which, hasn't had a whole bunch of extra shit tacked onto it. It's only got like a couple of extra little bits built onto the side of it by virtue of, a lot of people needing to live here. But you make your way up the stairs. You're, I imagine, on something like the 5th floor, pretty decently far up. And yeah, the hallways are, fairly stained and filthy as usual. And you spot, as you round the corner to your hallway leading to your door, you spot something. Could you make me a D10 roll, please? And if you feel that anything that you have on you or as an upgrade, if you feel anything would help you with, seeing or, making a perception check, then mention it and it may give you a bonus. I will give you a +3 bonus, however, for this being ostensibly your place of residence.
Yeah, that's fair. I needed that.
You did indeed.
I needed exactly that, in fact.
So, you don't... with a 6, you would have noticed anyway that something was up, but it is by virtue of, like, you've come around this corner and seen the sight of, like, your door in the distance enough times that, like, it's that instinctual level of expectation, and so when something about the visuals is different, it sets you off, and you just have that moment of, like, something's different. And you look at your door, and normally there's this glare that comes off of it from the fluorescent bulb that's in this hallway, and the fact that the door is a fairly a fairly well intact gloss paint over it. And with the angle that you're at, that glare isn't there. The door is slightly ajar.
She, sighs a bit.
You take a look around, and the concrete hallway, the floor of the concrete floor of the hallway, it's good for one thing in its practicality. It gathers a lot of filth, and as a result, it's very easy to spot when that filth has been altered notably, right? And you look down and you can see the scuff marks leading up, just very subtly, a couple of scuff marks leading up to your door that would only be made by, like, big boots.
Vex sort of thinks to herself for a second, just assessing the situation. She looks at the door, she looks up and down the hallway. Finally, she just sort of sighs. I'm really not in the mood for this right now, man. I can tell you right now, this ain't gonna end well for you. Last chance to just resolve this nicely.
You don't hear any kind of response, and you kind of get the feeling that it's because, as usual, being the stubborn motherfucker that he is, he wants this to happen the way that he wants it to happen, and he's not going to reveal his position.
Well, while that possibility of it being him is in her mind, certainly, first she's just gonna... Where do the boot tracks lead in specific?
Pretty much up to your door.
She just sighs and she's gonna kick the door open, but not, like, go in. Just, like, kick it open so that, you know, and just see what happens from there.
Right, yeah, you, I'm gonna request that we do, we do a draw, as we have established with this character. I am, however, going to give, I'm gonna give him a +2 on this occasion, because you basically called yourself out.
Yep, that's fair.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you kick open the door, and, man, you should have just had it out when you kicked it, because the door swings open, and sat on your fucking sofa like the brazen motherfucker that he is the towering, imposing figure of Brimstone, and he's got his gun already pointed up at you towards your head.
Yeah, to her credit, she gets it. She also draws it and gets it up pretty fast. But yeah, he already had it ready. So
yeah, like you're pretty sure that like he's familiar enough with you at this point that like he knows where your head would be considering your height, and so he probably just had the gun pointed at the door, waiting for you to come in. And
you fucking asshole! I just got back from having my fucking leg chopped off. I'm not in the mood for this.
You hear through the, what you suspect, and, you know, there's no reason it wouldn't be. You suspect that the gas mask which he constantly wears, which also modulates his voice, you're pretty sure it's just built into the front of his face and his jaw, probably replacing all of the voice box and everything. And he seemingly blowing past your comment, just goes,
"That's 32 to me now."
She stomps in and closes the door behind herself, and I imagine she just walks back to like her desk, kind of ignoring him for the moment, just putting her money away, you know, what little she has left, of course, and unpacking her things.
I get you another time and we're equal again.
What do you want?
I like that about you. Always cutting to the chase. Yeah. So, you remember Mag? The one dredge who,
Yeah, the new guy.
Yeah. Well, he was the one I talked to last time about this, but considering that he's no longer of this earthly plane, you rightfully have been given the responsibility. As you should have last time anyway.
She, puts her hands on her desk and sort of looks over at him, just very tired and haggard, but starts paying attention.
You'll remember that as dredges, we have certain responsibilities. I ran you through the Pact of Filth. 2 years ago now?
Like 6, 7 times, yeah?
Yes, and all the other times. I'm glad you remember. Do you remember the particular part about asking gangs if there's new names to be given?
I certainly do.
Well, you skirted out of the responsibility last time thanks to a power play that they wanted to make with Mag. Mag's dead. You're now the newest. And you've actually got a bit of a name for yourself now. So,
He pulls out a small device. It's got a screen on it. It's all things considered, you can't help but get a little bit excited at this thing. It's not a cyber deck by any means. It's not like a kit bashed, portable computer or anything like that.
It's not that cool. Nothing is,
Yeah, exactly. But it is high-end tech. This thing is capable of like city-wide wireless communication, and it does have like a native inbuilt screen with a pretty high resolution to it as well. It's a fairly simple device, but like it's pretty well made. They probably paid a pretty penny to get these things running.
She comes around from behind the desk and actually walks up. Hell, did you find that thing? That's slick.
didn't find it. We commissioned these things, what? Probably, oh god, 30 or more years back, something like that.
These are in remarkably good condition for being that old.
Huh. Well, it's real fucking nice.
Would be, considering we, what, use it once every year, if that. Probably more like 2. Point is, you take this, and these other 2 as well.
And he hands off another 2 to you. For 3 total.
She like carefully like cradling them with more care than she did her own fucking leg earlier. Just like holds them in her hands, looking at them like they're the sacred tablets.
He is very appreciative. He seems to be very like you get this sense of like he kind of straightens his back a little. One thing that you note about Brimstone is that he this guy is like he's got to be at least like 7 foot tall, something like that. He is huge. And, you know, obviously the world is not made for men that big. And so he often, either by virtue of just being a man with poor posture or, you know, needing to duck his head through every single doorway, he hunches a lot. And the massive, like, militaristic-looking black coat that he wears on top of it, as well as occasionally, like, a big fucking, like, you know, military-ass, like, shoulder cloak as well that goes with it every now and then. It gives him this skulking demeanor, especially with, like, the mask that he's got. He almost gives himself this, like, sense of being some kind of weird hulking cryptid a lot of the time, despite you knowing that he's actually a very strong, very bulky, and very tall man, very military. And it's in these moments like this when he suddenly gains a level of like, oh, you actually give a fuck about what I'm talking about, that he straightens up and you are reminded of exactly how big of a person he is. You know, he even actually stands up from off of your sofa at this point when handing them over, and he kind of, you know, his head is very, very nearly touching your ceiling at this point. But he goes,
Well, looks like I don't have to tell you to take good care of these things. It's going to be expensive to replace them if we do. These are the devices that they're going to use to anonymously transmit a short list of names for people they are considering naming as new dredges under the Pact of Filth like we were. You aren't expected to stick around, but you are expected to drop these off under official dredge named business, and to collect them afterwards as well.
She, backs up and sets the devices down on her desk, just so she's not still holding them, and then looks back up at him, inclining her head slightly. So one for each gang, I assume, yeah?
Nothing gets past you. Yep.
And what are the drop-off points? Do I need to go all the way, like, to their fucking headquarters or something, or what?
You should know better than most that you'll get gunned down the instant you get close to those places. No.
Yeah, that's why I was, figuring there was more to the plan.
Don't get me wrong. If it's important enough stuff, we can get invites if we need to. Hell, they might even invite you in. But considering you're... just barely...
The new kid, I get it, yeah.
Yeah, the new kid. Considering you're the new kid, I doubt that'll happen. I'm sure you know with the collectors, they've got their little junkyard. That's their main spot. There's a subspace, a sub-junkyard, a smaller one, a little closer in from their borders. Kind of acts as a bit of a buffer. They've got I wouldn't call it an office, so much as a outpost, miniature stronghold. If you go there, say you're here on dredge business, I doubt they'd fire you in the first place considering your position. But that's where you need to go for them.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so, would ya? She kind of, like, folds her arms.
He kind of raises an eyebrow. The kind of he's got, like, you know those, like, inlane cyber, like, lines that you see in, like, cyberpunk games and stuff where the skin's kind of got those, like, traces on them. Yeah, like, he's got two of those, not through his eyes, but, like, through the skin that, like, would overlay with his eyes. Yeah, he raises his eyebrows, which kind of makes those crease up a little bit. And he goes...
You have trouble? I guess you always do if you're a dredge, but unexpected trouble.
Yeah, it's nothing worth telling.
You get the feeling he would smirk if he had the ability to do so anymore. And he goes,
The Foundling Creed. They have... They're normally a little bit more accommodating, but best place to find out where they want you. They'll probably redirect you. They tend to do that. You'll want to go to one of their hive blocks. I know that's not what they call them, but that's what they are. Someone there will be able to direct you in the right place. They've got receptions at the bottom of those places.
And Section C?
Well, I'll give Section C this. They've got a chain of command that's easy to go through. Go to the Golden Trace building. That's pretty much where they accept and deal with any and all dredge dealings in the first place. In fact, take that as a point of advice. You ever need anything from Section C in future that's explicitly to do with being a dredge, which it always should be, go to Golden Trace.
Got it. And they'll know what I mean if I just say I'm here for the list of names, yeah?
Well, if I were to put it the way that I normally do, I'd say I'm here by virtue of the Pact of Filth to fulfill our obligations. You are hereby called to name those who would next become Dredge.
Do I have to say it all fancy like that? She rolls her eyes a bit.
He cocks an eyebrow, very clearly like a, I want you to. But he kind of shrugs and goes,
Well, fuck me, I guess. It's not like we have a title that is kind of tenuous at best if we don't treat it like a fucking title.
Yeah. I get the point. She waves calmingly. I'll do the job and I'll do it well, like always.
You always do, that's right. Though I'd hazard to say that maybe you could do to keep away from some of the action. I'm getting a little more...
He kind of looks down to your leg, which has very clearly just been sewn back on, and goes,
Maybe keep yourself out of, severing range.
Yeah, I'll make sure not to blow up, the entire building I'm going to visit either, in the process of dropping these devices off.
Collateral isn't anything to be ashamed of.
He raises his eyebrows in a very, like, you know, it's a very, like, matter-of-fact, well, you never did get it kind of way. And he goes,
Oh, well, while I'm here, anything to report? Anything you need?
No. Not in particular.
Good, that's what I like to hear. Though, of course, you ever need me, just a phone call away.
And he gives you this narrow-eyed look, and he goes to start walking out of your door. The very bassy and notable thuds of his feet hitting the floor and giving the sound of, you know, rocks kind of shifting aside and occasional breaks of what you can only assume is like small pieces of debris shattering underfoot. That is just characteristic of his general ability to cause damage wherever it is that he goes.
Yeah. Just as he's, about to close the door, Vex calls out, Hey, Brimstone.
What?
Real quick about these devices.
Yeah?
Does he turn back to look at her?
He does.
Alright, I'm drawing on him.
Alright, let's do another roll-off.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yes!
And with that, you feel free to describe the draw since you won it.
Yeah, he's sort of expecting it, right? So of course, as he turns to look, he's already drawing the gun. But Vex is not only like already also drawing the gun at lightning speed, but she is also like, you know, she was still standing by the desk last he saw, but she managed to like swiftly and quietly essentially like walk up so that she's even like taking slight cover behind the sofa in the room as well. So when he draws the gun, he's not aiming in quite the right spot, and she manages to get it just a bit before him.
Yeah, you do that, and he spots that. He sees it, and he just goes,
Oh, fuck.
See? Quick and quiet. That's nothing to be ashamed of either, you know.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Get out of my goddamn apartment.
See you around.
You too.
You can hear that the see you round is laced with a you don't have a choice but to see me round.
Yeah.
He continues to make his way, and you just hear his heavy footfalls going down the hallway. He did at least have the courtesy to close the door behind him.
Motherfucker's gonna fall through the floor one of these times. She, walks back over to her desk again and, prepares to finally actually relax for the first time today.
Hey gang, it's time for your regularly scheduled break and chilling. Let's just be real, right? That's what we're doing here. But yeah, take a second to unwind, and I hope that you have enjoyed Brimstone's introduction. I am personally a big fan of playing Brimstone myself. And thank you all for continuing to be interested in listening to the show, and thank you for the wonderful response that I've been seeing to it as well. It's genuinely really awesome seeing people have such a genuine and cool response to something that I've been putting so much work into. Shoutouts to Iris as well. She has been handling all of the first pass edits of the audio, so the stuff that I can't stand doing, the cutting of the umming and ahhing. So frankly, Iris is half the reason that this stuff is as good to listen to. I'm very much just doing the fun part, so thank you, big shoutouts, love you. If you've been enjoying Heart of Hope and you want to get an episode ahead of what's going on, you can go to my Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month, you can gain access to episode 4 right now. That is anyone paying, so you can pay more than that as well if you want to support me extra. That's like a massive thank you if you do that. It's super generous if you do. But if you only got $1 to throw my way, that's no problem. You will still get access to the episode. You can find that over at patreon.com/eternal_savvy. Again, that's patreon.com/eternal_savvy. And as usual, you can find me on Blue Sky and on Twitter at the same handle, eternal_savvy. If I am anywhere, that is my handle. And if you're one of the wonderful people making fan art for us, you can either drop that in our Discord, or you can tag me on Blue Sky and use the hashtag Heart of Hope. Thank you so much for hanging in there during this break. Why don't we get back to things? See you next time.
Right, well, why don't you... I'd say at this point it's early afternoon, or it's like 3 p.m, I reckon, at this kind of point. All right. What does Vex do at this point? You've just completed a job, and probably your net gain was minimal, so you could definitely stand to get another job, but you would either have to wait for somebody to contact you, or you could try and find an info broker. Stitch did say that, like, there are people who specialize in that, and they would maybe be able to not just get you info. Even if they can't get you info on you, they might be able to actually start feeding you some jobs. The strange thing about having this unique position of being kind of a fixer in the city, one of very few who is respected and not preyed upon for recruitment, is you, during your first 2 years, you were kind of kept really, really busy, inundated with jobs, but it was because it was all, like, low-tier shit, you know? You were the new kid on the block, and so all of the gangs were just like, oh, okay, we finally got somebody that we can foist stuff onto, you know, without having to, like, worry that they'll say no because it's, you know, something that they don't have time for. It's only really been in the last month or two that you've genuinely been having moments like this where you complete a job and you don't have another, well, paying job lined up. You do now have this stupid fucking pact of filth requirement where you have to go hand off these voting devices so that everyone can vote now on their phones about who gets to be the new privileged sort in this city. Of course, you do know that that's not, like, so pressing that you have to do it immediately, just soon.
Yeah.
Brimstone's the type of guy who would be, like, yelling at you like a fucking drill sergeant if you needed to go do something now, you know?
Yeah. She understands the idea, and she is planning on getting to it soon since she doesn't have anything else lined up just yet. What Vex does with the rest of the afternoon, I imagine, is goes over to her desk, which is very like everything else in her apartment, messy, cluttered, and not enough space on it. But one thing she has that not a lot of other people have, unless they are, part of a larger group or have a lot of money, is she actually does have a computer of her own, one that she managed to basically she just kind of found it in a dump one day when she was doing some other unrelated job involving scrounging through filth and detritus for something random. She found the chassis for a computer that over the course of quite a while she sort of trial and error managed to reassemble into something. And like by the modern standards of computers, it sucks. It's like a box. It's one of those, old box computers. Old as shit keyboard. Takes a good 5 minutes to load any page.
Beige as hell.
Goes to. Beige as hell. But she loves it. It makes everything so convenient for her. And so she boots that up. And looks through. You can go into this a bit if you want, but as has been described, there isn't really exactly a huge worldwide web internet sort of situation here. Rather, the city has its own interconnected network that just operates on it. So
yeah, I will take this opportunity to go into it a little bit, because we didn't actually record that 5-hour conversation we had about the world building.
No, but that's okay.
Yeah, so the city of Hope's Rise is unique in a number of ways. Just beyond it being a complete shithole, it's essentially boxed in on itself. It's very similar to and inspired by the real life place called the walled city of Kowloon. It's essentially that on a huge scale. Due to various circumstances, Hope's Rise is unable to expand outward and has instead had to build on top of itself over and over and over again, and has turned it into this maze that's pretty impenetrable to anyone except its citizens. The outer walls of the city are, as such, surrounded by a desert no man's land that is patrolled by the outside world pretty frequently, and also defended by snipers from the gangs and various other, armed individuals who work for them. People stay within the city simultaneously because it's incredibly dangerous to attempt to leave, because you'll likely get gunned down, but also because the outside world is arguably worse on account of being a horrible tyranny. As such, Hope's Rise has kind of done the impossible, and it's carved out a little corner of the world for itself, but that has meant that precious few people have access to the outside world in a meaningful way, and that includes the internet. So, rather than a worldwide web inside of the city, the people who do have access to a computer only have access to the intranet, which is only connected to other Hope's Rise computers. And only people with a lot of money can access the real internet from the outside world. But if you live in the city and you want to be connected and in the know, then the intranet is the way to do it. So yeah, you boot up your computer and get online.
And, she does skim through the latest news and everything else. And then checks to see if she has any contacts. Usually most people don't contact her for jobs, like, via her computer, but, she always checks.
Yeah, with the nature of dredge work being the way it is, it's rare for it to not be... It's usually sensitive enough work that a gang member, or even sometimes dwellers on the rare occasion, will pretty much always come to you in person because they don't want the information, hacked and picked up or intercepted.
Yeah. So, she does that for a bit and checks up on any information. But the thing is, I mean, yeah, she didn't get a lot of money from that last job and it went bad in a few ways, but she's tired. She doesn't really want to think about her next job right now, and she's kind of learned over the years that, like, sometimes you just have to be patient and, you know, one will show up. So instead she's gonna spend the afternoon basically looking up any information she can on, you know, info brokers and stuff like Stitch suggested. She's gonna take this rare bit of free time she has to actually, like, try to get a basic knowledge of, like, you know, she's done stuff like this once or twice before with looking this stuff up, but she's never really sat down and just tried to figure out, like, okay, here's a list of names of people who at least they claim to, like, you know the ins and outs of the city, and, like, oh, if you there's something you want to find out, you can come to me, sort of people. So she does that for a while.
What you do find is you do find a couple of notable things, and since you specified that you are browsing the news as well, right? There is a natural level of information that you will just kind of absorb as a result of, like, seeing people essentially beefing online with each other, you know? Like, as much as gangs will keep their personal dealings and, like, important shit offline because obviously, you know, they don't want to give anything away, there is plenty of low-tier shit mob idiots who go online and, you know, pick a fight with somebody from a neighboring gang, you know. So in that vein, you do find that there seems to have been some kind of a organized kind of fight going down soon between a Section C member. You see that their name is Reza. Seems to be particularly upset with a member of the Foundling Creed. It seems that you don't get the full, like, extent of it. What it basically has boiled down to is there is now kind of a lot of hype going on in some of the intranet spheres of just like, yo, we're gonna see these two fucking throw down on, you know, this fucking Sunday kind of thing, you know.
Hashtag Josh fight, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, let me mark on the map. I have a funny little thing here for these kind of conflicts. Let's set it up in, I reckon it's gonna be over here. This duel event that has come up basically is gonna resolve in someone's favor, and whoever ends up winning is gonna go up a rank. You see that this little beef is going to be happening, and you can see that they've basically, like, organized it to happen basically at the end of, like, one of the highways that's in Section C territory, which ends pretty damn close to the edge of the edge of the place. They've agreed that, like, you know, the Foundling Creed member is allowed to cross the boundary specifically for this fight. It's like been advertised as just like, oh, nobody fuck with Luke Dover when he comes in, he's mine, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so that's going down. And on that note, you do in fact find something which is promising. You see that there is, of all things, a dredge publicly posting on one of the kind of, like, main sites that's used for this kind of, like, recruitment thing. This is fairly uncommon because dredge normally have enough of a name for themselves that, like, people come to them. It's rare for them to advertise their services in this way, but nonetheless, here it is. It's nothing, like, as complex as a personal website or anything, but you can see that basically there's been a number of postings going on where people have been, like,
looking for dirt on specific people and that kind of jazz, that like this self-proclaimed dredge, who you know is definitely a dredge because you know all of them. There's so few of them. You've heard of all of them, even in passing. Who is advertising their services? They go by the name Ephori. You've not had any dealings with them. You frankly have only really heard like Brimstone mention Ephori in like the list of dredge that he constantly says to you, you know. And Ephori has always just been one of those ones where it's like, oh yeah, you know, there's you, there's me, there's Nyx, there's Hyde, Ephori, and just blows past Ephori every time, you know. And that's really all you know about them. They have provided like a location, essentially. He has basically said like on there, it's a weird situation. You'll notice on the map, and I'll describe for folks as well. You can see just above, like in the north, above the neutral zone, there is a zone which is actually in between Collector and Foundling Creed territory that is unclaimed. That section there is not listed as neutral because it's been a really weird situation. There was basically this huge upset that I won't get into, but there was basically a huge upset that happened with Foundling Creed pushing into Collector territory, which ended up in, like, essentially a stalemate within... This was in pretty recent memory. You weren't a dredge when this was happening. It was more than 2 years ago, but so you didn't pay a huge amount of attention to it, but it basically resulted in this, like, weirdly big chunk of the city, comparatively, about half the size of the neutral zone as just contested. And it's not been agreed upon as neutral because Section C just haven't agreed. They have not. They're like, we're not getting fucking involved. That's your problem. As a result, it's kind of treated as like a miniature no man's land of go here to get fucked, idiot. You know?
Yeah.
So, it's
show up here for a very bad time, explicitly. If you would like a bad time, you can receive one.
Exactly. But sure enough, like Ephori has basically listed, and I'll put an event on the map. They've basically like listed, oh yeah, come meet me in this location in the center of the fuck zone if you want to like get my services. And he's been very upfront about like, I'm putting it here specifically because it's in the fuck zone. I want you to like basically prove that you're serious about coming to me for this job, considering that I have like this position of being, you know, a dredge, essentially. And he's putting forward this like, you've not seen this with dredge before, or at least not the ones you've interacted with. A lot of the time they're pretty serious, or they're pretty insular, or about themselves. Ephori seems to be issuing some kind of challenge or game with this, of saying like, oh, I'll give you a discount on my services if you come meet me in the fuck zone.
Yeah, makes sense. That does sound promising, because he's promising, like, is this related to, like, information broking, like, type stuff, too?
Oh, it absolutely is. He is sitting here saying, like, I will do some info gathering on, like, whoever you like, and I will like, he's very much phrasing it as, I will dig up, like, the dirtiest laundry on whoever you want, right? Like, he's making big promises. Shit like, I will find info that would, like, literally get whoever you want executed by whoever they're affiliated with.
I'll find you some nasty, smelly secrets. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. It's definitely something to note. You do find various other info brokers as well, but, like, as Stitch had mentioned, when it comes to gang-affiliated info brokers, it's really geared in a certain direction, Like, it's...
Of course, yeah.
They do help out other gangs for, like, a cost, but it's pretty much explicitly always like, oh, I'm a Section C info broker, and you're from Foundling Creed. Cool. I'll help you dig up dirt on, someone from your gang or someone from the Collectors. No problem. But if it's too dangerous, go fuck yourself. They mostly work internally. And for unaffiliated, man, no one likes the Dwellers in the first place. It's... even as a dredge, it's been difficult. So, speaking to a fellow dredge, you imagine will be more productive.
Yeah, no, that she makes a big note of him, of course, and lists a few other names that look promising, but mainly, definitely, is gonna follow up on that one.
All right.
So that's how she spends the rest of her afternoon. Basically, is getting info ready on this for and getting ready for what she's probably going to be doing tomorrow.
All right. And with that, you I imagine you head to bed.
After staying up too late, just doing nothing, of course.
Mm-hmm. So, you go to sleep, and you, just today, when you were knocked out briefly by Elizabeth and her cronies, you had this vision that you've had a number of times before. That isn't to say that you dream about it every night, though, but it does come in waves. There'll be nights where there'll be weeks where sometimes you dream about it every night, and other times where it's just, once in a blue moon, that kind of thing. But it's always been the same. But today was different. This time, you actually answered the phone. That's never happened before. That kind of runs through your mind as you're going to bed again, and you can't help but feel this hope that, like, maybe something's happening. Maybe, I don't know, maybe blunt force trauma to the head literally knocked something loose, right? But you find yourself drifting off nonetheless. And you're there again. And you can see the phone in front of you. Again. And it starts to ring. That same trill. The same strange way that it has that little aftermath of a ring every time. And you can make it out. The phone it's black. You think grey? But then again, what phone isn't? That's not helpful. Maybe you're just trying to make it look like the other phones that you've seen. But it's there.
Slowly, she reaches for the receiver again, trying to focus, trying to focus, but also just trying to let it flow, to not restrain whatever it is that's happening or about to happen, but still she reaches for it and tries to answer.
You grab it. The click of it lifting off the receiver. The furthest you've ever been in this memory. And you put it to your ear. And you just hear Vex. And you wake up.